Yo, what's up, guys? Today I'm going to be giving my predictions for UFC Fight Night Machado Garry versus Prates. Let's get right into it. So, starting off, this is just an average fight night card. Nothing too special, just something to keep the fans entertained while the big pay per views are getting ready. People are having their training camps for the big cards. We could look at this card, not too many fighters that are well known. Cameron Simon at one point was a pretty well respected prospect until the hype train kind of got derailed by Peyton Talbot, which lost his O recently. And Cameron Simon probably trying to redeem himself in this fight. He's taken a lot of time off, so let's see I'm excited to see what he can do in this fight on this Saturday. But other than that, not too many well-known, well-renowned fighters on this card other than the main card. So let's just get right into it. Starting off on the opening fight of the main card, Ikram Aliskerov. Last time he fought, I believe it was against Robert Whitaker, which he got knocked out in the first round, I believe it was. It's quite a while ago, last summer, I believe. But he's coming back, minus 650. That was a big fight when he filled in for Khamzat Chimaev. Khamzat Chimaev was supposed to face Robert Whitaker, and Ikram Aliskerov filled in when Khamzat Chimaev pulled out of the fight. So Ikram Aliskerov immediately jumping from unranked opponents and being unranked himself, immediately jumping up to fight Robert Whitaker, which was, I believe, in the top 5 at the time. So that's a big jump up in competition, and doesn't really hold anything against him because of how big the skill gap and experience gap there is there against fighting someone like Robert Whitaker, who's been there with the best and is a former champion. Going on next to the next fight, Randy Brown. I don't know too much about him, although I have seen him fight before, I believe. I don't really remember too much about him. But other than that, we'll be skipping this card. Oh, and going back to the Ikram Aliskerov fight, I mean, he's minus 650. I guess I'd go with him. I don't know really anything about this guy. I think I might have heard of him once or twice before, but let's just head on to the fights that are actually ranked. So starting off, middleweight bout between Michel Pereira and Abus Magomedov. Michel Pereira, number 14th ranked, has horrible cardio. We saw that against the Fluffy Hernandez fight. He has absolutely horrible cardio. It's just horrible. Abus Magomedov, he's a decent fighter. He was the guy that Sean Strickland got his title shot off of, and I do remember him. I believe it was a pretty big war last time he fought, which I believe was 308, if I'm not mistaken, but I might be wrong on that. He's a decent, well-rounded fighter. Michel Pereira is pretty cool with his back flips and front flips that he does on top of opponents, although sometimes they do land illegal knees to the head. Formerly illegal, not anymore, but Michel Pereira, I don't really think he's going to hold up for much longer in the rankings, so I'm going to take Abus Magomedov. He's a well-rounded fighter. I know he's got some decent striking and kickboxing, so I'll just go with him. I mean, I don't study these fighters too much, but I'll choose him. And that's the same thing with David Onama versus Giga Chikadze. I don't know really too much about either of these guys. I know he's a former kickboxer. So I've seen him fight before, but I don't really remember too much about him. He hasn't been too active recently. David Onama, I saw him fight the other young prospect that took the fight on short notice. It was his first fight in the UFC, and David Onama was taking some damage in the beginning, but his opponent gassed out. For this fight, I guess I could take Giga Chikadze because I'm guessing he has a lot more experience being at the top for quite a while. Even though he's the underdog, it's not a big difference between both opponents. But I'll just go Giga Chikadze with this one. Going on to the co-main event, Anthony Smith versus Zhang Mingyang, I believe it's pronounced. I believe I saw Zhang fight somebody. I think it was Ozzy Diaz or something like that. He fought him on the Yan versus Figueiredo card. I believe he won by knockout. So he's going for a ranked opponent, which is in Anthony Smith, number 15th ranked. Anthony Smith coming off of a TKO loss to Dominic Reyes. I believe that was his last fight. And obviously Anthony Smith's not had the best record. I believe he's 1-4 in his last 5 or something like that. I'm not too caught up on Anthony Smith recently, but at one point Anthony Smith was a decent fighter, but now he's really fallen back in the rankings. Plus 380. Zhang minus 500. I don't really study either of these fighters too much. I mean, Anthony Smith being the much more experienced fighter, having elite jiu-jitsu, not elite, but well-rounded, decent jiu-jitsu. I mean, maybe he could get a submission or something, but Zhang Mingyang being the younger, I suspect younger, I haven't looked at his bio or anything, but being younger, I guess I'll expect him to get the knockout. This is Anthony Smith's retirement fight, I believe. He's 36 from what I last saw, but yeah, don't study these fighters too much, so I don't know too much about them. But going on to the main event, okay. Number 7 ranked Ian Machado Garry is taking this fight on, I believe it's 1 month notice or something like that. He's the favorite by minus 120 to Carlos Prates, number 13th ranked, coming out of Fighting Nerds, plus 102 favorite, or underdog, my bad. And Carlos Prates is really good kickboxing. We haven't seen too much of his grappling, though. That's the problem. We don't know where he is in the grappling department. I don't know how many wins he has by submission. I could check, but I'll save that for another time. Ian Machado Garry, we know he's a striker coming from Ireland, but he's really worked on his ground game recently, and we especially saw that in the Shavkat fight, where we know Shavkat is an elite, well-rounded fighter with good grappling coming from Kazakhstan. But Ian Machado Garry won 2 to 5 rounds, and at one point almost had Shavkat, almost submitted Shavkat and had him in a deep, I believe it was some sort of rear naked choke, but I haven't studied too much on BJJ while on someone's back. But Ian Machado Garry, he's got some decent grappling now that he's really becoming a well-rounded elite fighter. I believe if he beats Carlos Prates, which Carlos Prates has a huge hype train behind him, being that he's coming from the Fighting Nerds. If he beats Carlos Prates in a dominant fashion, or just takes most of the rounds in a decision, he could definitely have to fight one more person, and he'll be right there for the title, fighting for the title. We'll have to see whoever wins, Jack Della Maddalena or Bilal Muhammad, and then we'll see if Shavkat is finally rebooked, or if someone like Sean Brady gets the title shot. Let me think. There's also a couple more contenders on the list that could go for the belt at welterweight, 170. There are some elite fighters, like I believe his name is Michael Morales. I think he's from Ecuador. I'm not too sure, but he's coming up in the rankings. But staying focused, there's a lot of people that could fight for the title. Both of these fighters, if any of these fighters gets a dominant performance and possibly one more win, we see Carlos Prates, he could become number 7 ranked here. moves up, goes to fight someone like maybe Usman or Leon, or maybe a number one contender fight against Shavkat or Brady, they'd be right there for the title, whoever would win something like that. Or Ian Machado Garry, like I already stated, just needs one more win. If he were to win this fight, he'd be right there for the number one contender spot. So my pick for this fight, Ian Machado Garry, more well-rounded fighter. From what we've seen, Carlos Prates could have good grappling, being that he's from Brazil. A lot of Brazilian fighters are specialized in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, BJJ, but Carlos Prates is more focused and more skilled in his striking, coming from the fighting nerds. Most fighting nerds are well-rounded. So I mean, let's think about this. Ian Machado Garry. I'm gonna go with Ian Machado Garry. He's the favorite. He's also, I believe he possibly might have a height advantage, but I know Carlos Prates has a reach advantage. From what I've heard, he has the same reach as Tom Aspinall or something similar, which is absolutely insane for being about 4 divisions down from heavyweight. But Ian Machado Garry is the more well-rounded fighter. He's got the ground game from what we've seen. He's got some decent striking. Carlos Prates is better striking, but Ian Machado Garry is kind of a decision merchant with holding people to the ground. Carlos Prates has got a huge hype train behind him, but he is a lot of times people are blinded by the hype train. I could definitely see Carlos Prates winning this. He could beat him on the feet, knock Ian Garry out, but I just see this possibly going to decision, or maybe Ian is able to get a sub off. Maybe Ian could even KO him, but I don't really see that. I think maybe in this fight we could see something like unexpected, like a Carlos Prates sub, maybe an Ian Garry finish. But both of these fighters, their weaknesses are the opposite of the other person's strengths. So this fight is really gonna test to see how elite each fighter is. If Carlos Prates is really who he says he is, or if Ian Garry is just kind of a placeholder at number 7 and kind of just climbed up the rankings fighting cans, like a lot of people says he has. Even though he performed well in the Shavkat fight, he's no longer undefeated. So we'll see where this fight goes. I'm going to choose Ian Garry. But thank you guys so much for watching my UFC Fight Night Garry versus Prates predictions. I'll see you guys in the next one. Please like and subscribe. See you.